In 1991, India came dangerously to an economic collapse. Foreign exchange reserves had fallen to such a critical levels that the country had to pledge gold and seek assistance from International Monetary Fund. Today, rising geopolitical tensions, oil price shocks, and disruptions in global trade have once again raised concerns. Is history repeating itself, or India facing an entirely new kind of challenge? What happened in 1991? To understand the present, we need to revisit 1991. India was facing high fiscal deficit, rising inflation, and heavy dependence on imports. The Gulf War pushed oil prices higher, increasing pressure on Indian economy. Foreign exchange reserves declined sharply, forcing India to borrow around $2.2 billion from International Monetary Fund. This crisis eventually led to one of the most important points in the Indian economic histories, the LPG reforms. Liberalization reduced restrictions and dismantled the license Raj. Privatization gradually reduced state control over many sectors through disinvestment. Globalization opened India's economy to foreign investment in global market. These reforms transformed India from a largely state-controlled economy to a market-oriented economy. Why are people comparing today with 1991? Three major geopolitical developments have been increased concerns. First, the US-Russia-Ukraine war, which disrupted the energy market and fertilizer supplies. India responded by purchasing discounted Russian crude, but global volatility increased inflationary pressures. Second, instability in the West Asia and attacks in Red Sea disrupted shipping routes. Since the Suez Canal carries nearly 12% of global trade, many ships had to take longer routes around the Cape of Good Hope, increasing transportation costs. Third, tensions involving Iran, Israel, and United States have raised fears about Strait of Hormuz, through, through which significant portions of India's crude oil passes. As oil prices are rising, concerns regarding inflation, import cost, and pressure on the rupee naturally increases. At first glance, these developments appear similar to the circumstances that preceded in 1991 crisis, but appearance can be misleading. Why 2026 is not 1991? The similarities are real, but so are the differences. In 1991, India had weak foreign exchange reserves, limited integration with global markets, and relatively a closed economy. Today, India possesses strong forex reserves, a diversified economy, and a greater integration with the global system. The country has developed a strong service sector and is increasingly expanding manufacturing through initiatives such as the Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Unlike 1991, when internal weaknesses combined with external shocks, today's pressures are largely external in nature. India is now more resilient, better prepared, and economically stronger than it was 3 decades ago. India has pursued a policy of strategic multi-alignment. It maintained ties with Russia while strengthening relations with the West, deepening cooperation with Israel and Gulf countries. At the same time, India has focused on reducing long-term dependence on imported energy. Initiatives such as National Green Hydrogen Mission, ethanol blending, solar expansion, and battery storage systems are aimed at enhancing energy security. These are not merely climate policies, they are economic and strategic policies. Similarly, it is important to understand the new realities. Perhaps our most important lesson is this: history rarely repeats itself in the exactly same form. The vulnerabilities of 1991 and those of today are totally different. In 1991, India faced internal structural weaknesses along with the external shocks. Today, India faces a increasingly unstable global order, global where war, supply chains, maritime choke points influence domestic inflation and economic growth. The challenges is no longer simply surviving crisis, it is adapting to them. It is important to note History offers lessons, not predictions. Current global tensions may resemble some aspects of the past, but India of today is very different from the India of 1991. The country is no longer a fragile economy reacting to crisis. It is an adaptive economy attempting to reshape its response, and perhaps that is the real difference between the India of 1991 and the India of today. The question is not whether the history is repeating itself. The real question is whether India can transform global uncertainty into an opportunity of long-term resilience or not.